Oh, yeah, it is. Why? A, it's Friday. B, job market heats up in April. Unemployment rate drops to 6.3% from 6.7%. We added 288,000 jobs last month. Obamacare going very, very well, thank you. And so Benghazi is back.
Which is why he must be impeached.
Exactly.
Because everything's going so horribly.
Mm-hmm. And the White House Correspondents' Dinner, of course, is tomorrow night. Who better to talk about that? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here he comes, yes, it's Dean Obadala. Yes, it's Dean Obadala. Dean Obadala.
Whee! Good morning, Dean.
Good morning. How are you guys? It's a glorious day, isn't it?
It is.
House report. It's Friday. Republicans are angry. Democrats are happy. What more could you want?
Donald Sterling is a Republican. Sorry, Rush. Nice try.
That's great. So you got that going for him. It's really. I think it's a good day. Maybe it's the optimism of being a comedian on Friday. And Bugelsang was just on, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, and by the way,
to follow.
and all the
can't listen.
all the nutcakes in front of Kevin Bundy's ranch have started fighting with each other over different nutty conspiracy theories.
Yeah, one of the conspiracy theories is that Eric Holder was going to send in a drone attack.
Oh, right.
And some of the people out there are saying, no, you guys are crazy for thinking that.
Oh, that's not true?
And they're fighting.
Oh, wow.
It's not. Oh, that would be great if they did, just for fun. Like, not shoot anyone, just buzz them a few times.
Just buzz them. Just, kidding.
Like, just see what happens.
Okay.
It would be. They should. I wish they would fight it out. They could put it on pay-per-view. Just let the crazies fight it out in a cage there. A cage match. Whoever wins is king of the crazies.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Your headline.
News.
Your headline, of course, Obama will weaponize comedy at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And I agree with your first line. You said the president is the most effective of them all, using humor to destroy his enemies. Expect him to do it again tomorrow night. I think he is hilarious. I really do.
I think he's funny, too. And, for people on the right, and they're monitoring this show, as always, they're going to be angry. Like, I can't believe you're going to say Obama's the funniest president ever. I'm being objective. It's not about sense of humor or not. It's how he uses comedy. Like, I watched tons of the past White House Correspondents' Dinners in writing this article. And presidents in the past have used mainly self-deprecating jokes. They make fun of themselves. Bush was great. Actually, he had no problem making fun of him being intellectually challenged, his problem speaking English. Clinton made fun of himself for being chunky. Reagan made fun of his age. We saw all those jokes.
Right.
Obama does some of that, but he attacks his adversaries like a political comic, attacking people we don't like or agree with, so people are laughing at them. And
let's face it, because
effective.
they are hecklers. At this point, they're really not political opponents. They're like hecklers at a bad comedy club.
You suck!
You lie.
Yeah,
Remember
right.
that?
Exactly.
They really do heckle him.
Yeah.
We've had the President Obama. We've never seen a president like this called up. Remember during the State of the Union at a White House press conference, called a right-wing Daily Caller reporter says, you lie and that kind of crap. I mean, so he's got to deal with it. He's got thicker skin. And I go through it. I put some of the funny lines. I hope people go to the Daily Beast and check out the article. They put it on the front page. So please help me out and check out the article.
Please.
Other articles up there.
But I think your point is well taken. Is you say he's the greatest president ever in terms of using comedy. How he uses. Not to say that other presidents.
Kennedy was funny as well.
Yeah.
Sure. That wasn't really the standard. It wasn't about the funnies. He's changed it. I think any president going forward was going to use this. And I mean. And there's some great jokes. He's really cutting jokes. Early in the White House Correspondents' Dinner, 2009 and 10, his first few, much more self-deprecating. Like he said here, and he made fun of his own people. Like he said, in the next 100 days, I will learn to go off the teleprompter, and Joe Biden will learn to stay on the teleprompter. So he's making fun of his own guy Biden, who says crazy stuff. That's like the cute stuff. Then we get 2011. It's SmackDown, baby. Bring it on. It's a steel cage match, and he's walking out the winner. He's got the belt, and he's the king. And
yeah, my favorite you quoted was about Donald Trump. He just decimated Donald Trump, and you could see from Donald Trump's face that he knew it. He was not amused, as they say in the comedy business.
And you remember that dinner in 2011 where Obama crushed Trump? That was a time when Obama had just released his birth certificate because Trump would not shut up about that. And Trump was actually hinting he was going to run for president. And Obama, he did 3 jokes at Trump's expense. I mean, you don't see a president attacking people like an opponent like that. 3 full jokes, even a video thing. Making fun of him on Celebrity Apprentice, saying, you have great credentials. I mean, I saw Celebrity Apprentice, you had a choice. Who would you pick, Little John or Meatloaf? But you fired Gary Busey, and those are the kind of decisions that keep me up at night. And the audience is laughing and howling at Trump. And Trump, remember, he didn't laugh?
Yeah, oh, God,
and then Seth Meyers went on and killed him afterwards, and that was the end of Trump's run for president.
Yeah, it was great. And I missed this show. Great stuff as usual, and we will talk next week, and we'll do a
Thanks a
review.
lot, guys.
We'll do a
Nice having
review.
both of you.
And we'll see you on MSNBC tomorrow night.
Hopefully,
Yes.
God willing. All right, thanks.
All right. Bye,
Take
honey.
care.
There he goes. Dean Obliga. Life goes on.
Yeah.
And the show goes on.
It does.
All right. All right, let me take one quick one. Frank in Arizona, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hello, Frank.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Go ahead.
I just had one comment on the death penalty. These people that commit these crimes, call them sociopaths, call them what you want. I call them mentally ill. A lot of them, they just have something's wrong, something that won't allow them to comprehend that what they do is so heinous. And I think it's a sad commentary on our society that we just execute our mentally ill randomly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
all I
right. Yeah. Thank you, honey. Among other reasons. All right. Real quick, a love letter. Jesse in Houston. We forgot something yesterday. It was May Day, you know.
Uh-huh.
May Day. We could have a parade.
Serve hot hors d'oeuvres.
Jesse in Houston. Staff, my name's Jesse. I live in Houston, Texas. My husband, Paul, and I have been together for 12 years today. That was yesterday, though. Sorry, guys.
Uh-oh.
I was wondering if you could be so kind as to wish him a happy anniversary from you and the Mooks. Happy anniversary!
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
He's been listening since 2009 and listens every day on your podcast. What a fabulous idea. I like to think of him as the official hurry up, babe, I'm listening to Stephanie Miller guy of the Stephanie Miller Show. There you go. When he's listening to you at home, he likes to dance around with our cat Mary to Walking on Sunshine. She runs away when the song comes on. Oh, Mary,
You can't
don't go.
you can't dance with cats.
And quotes
You can
bits
dance with wolves, apparently.
yeah, and quotes bits and things from your show daily. Say hello to Max and Fred. Hi, Max. Hi, Fred. And thank you for being a shining light in the darkness that is Texas. Oh, please, Governor Wendy Davis, please let it be. I heard somebody on the TV machine saying that they thought it could happen. It could happen.
Okay.
Let's ask Judy Tenuta what she thinks. It's the only answer I want.
Yeah.
All right. 16 minutes after the hour, this hour of the Stephanie Miller Show brought to you by No Pro. Yeah. Whenever I see celebrities out here in Hollywood with that perfect hair-free skin, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I always want to know how they do it. Well, I asked some of my friends the insider tip for getting that smooth skin without all the hassle. No Pro. Celebrities and models tossing those razors and expensive salon treatments, switching to No Pro for weeks of long-lasting results. I decided to give it a try, and it is incredible. I have given them to friends, and they say it's incredible. It is the best way to remove unwanted hair with no pain. Your legs, arms, bikini-line face, for guys, your chest or back. You will love how easy this is to use. And professional results you get right from home. Who wants to drive? Who wants to park? Who wants to pay for expensive treatments? Ditch the razors and salon treatments. Switch to No Pro. You will be thrilled. No Pro comes with a 100% 60-day money-back guarantee. Plus, when you purchase, No is giving you a $50 gift card to a dermatologist-recommended and award-winning skincare line, plus a free travel case. Just go to NoNoStephanie.com to get these free gifts. That's NoNoStephanie.com. NoNoStephanie.com. Do it. 17 minutes after the hour. Right back on the Stephanie Miller Show.
Called
It is the Stephanie Miller Show. Ho! Who are you calling a hoe? 21 minutes after the hour. Bob Schrum coming up at the bottom of the hour. 1-800-STEPH1 to the phone number, toll free from anywhere. All right, if I have to, stop sending me the story. More bad news for Rush Limbaugh. Ratings imploding.
Did you read the story yesterday?
No. No, I didn't get to all the details. More bad news for Rush Limbaugh. You know I don't engage in this
Schadenfreude.
Jim, how did this get here? Why, how did this get right next to me? This
that's so
giant
weird.
framed picture of Miller's KTLK show rates number 2 ranking, which is really hard on a signal that crappy here in Los Angeles, by the way. Tom, did you do that? Did you put that right near me? That is crazy. Don't do that. Oh, look, here's the story. Media Matters has just reported more negative ratings that began after Limbaugh made his move in January to the new Southern California station KEIB. See, they named it after him.
Yep.
Excellence in broadcasting.
Oh, gosh, you just don't get it, L.A. Would you like the fun facts, Chris?
Sure.
3 months later, no, this is the follow-up story.
Okay.
3 months later, Limbaugh's KEIB is a ratings disaster, coming in 37th place. Sorry, let me just review. Oh, we were second. Okay. In the second largest radio market with a 0.5 rating share in March. How small is KEIB's audience? So small that 11 non-English radio stations have larger audiences in Los Angeles.
Sure.
And so small that KEIB actually trails 4 college-run non-commercial stations in the market.
It's true.
Oh, sorry.
Expressives in broadcasting.
This for a man who makes $40 million a year to attract big radio audiences. As for KFI, the station left. Oh, and I used to be on there and have really good ratings, too. It's weird. Big signal, big 50,000-watt signal.
Yeah, I heard in like 12 western states at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As for the station Limbaugh left and which switched to an all-local news and talk format, its ratings remain healthy in the talker's absence. A top 10 station, KFI boasts an audience 6 times larger than KEIB's. And on the East Coast, where Limbaugh was king, he's now ranked 22nd, trailing 4 non-English stations and 1 classical station. Let's see. Oh, just, I don't like to engage in nostalgia, Chris. I'm just saying, back when it was a, very strong progressive lineup in the beginning before they watered it down.
Yep. Stop promoting it.
Right. Progressive Talk, KTLK, AM 1150, celebrating Miller High Life. These days, after the news that in the talk show universe, Stephanie Miller's 6 to 9 a.m. weekday show is number 2 behind KFI 640 a.m. Bill Handel in the Los Angeles Orange County Arbitron ratings. That's interesting. But Jim, liberal talk doesn't really work.
Right.
I was just mentioning that at many of my sold-out sexy liberal comedy shows. Okay, all right, I'll stop now. Bitter, party of one. Hello, Jim. Jim in Chicago, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hello, Jim.
Hi, Stephanie.
Yes, hello.
Regarding the death penalty and the guy Clayton Lockett, who was put to death in Oklahoma.
Yes.
I just don't understand how liberals are trying to make this man some sort of a victim.
Nobody's trying to make him a victim. It's a comment on the death penalty. Do you think that's okay in a civilized society to have execution? Even if you believe in it, you don't think we should do it right? It's about it being botched.
So we should bring back electrocution, which obviously I think worked much better than death by lethal injection.
No, I think lethal injection worked. I think that they're doing this new combination of drugs that's experimental that they haven't perfected.
Right. They haven't tested it.
That is such a misnomer to try and say that liberals have sympathy for this murderer. It's not. That's not about that. People can have feelings about the death penalty. It doesn't have to do with thinking he's a great guy.
But I've heard you countless times on the radio whenever a state has done something to.
No wonder my ratings are so much better than Russia's. Yeah. What? I'm sorry.
And you celebrate that as if that's a good thing. So you can't say that you're actually in favor.
Celebrate
of the death penalty, correct?
What does she celebrate?
Whenever like a state, like when Illinois abolished the death penalty. You guys were all, oh, what great news this is.
Well, because so many people being wrongly executed. Because
innocent people were executed, so the Republican governor is the one that put a moratorium on the death penalty.
That's right.
George Ryan really wasn't a Republican, if you think about it.
He was a Republican. He caucused with Republicans, so yes, he is a Republican.
I'm going to have sympathy, and I'm going to euthanize this call because he was.
Liberals.
He was doing so badly.
You liberals, you just love murderers.
That was a mercy killing of that call.
Yeah.
God.
I just put him gently to sleep.
Wow.
I put that phone line gently to sleep. I was like, all right, this is not going to get better for you. Yes, that's all I talked about yesterday. What a great guy that murderer was. Yes, that's exactly what I said.
Moron.
Boy. All right.
Yeah,
Hey,
you liberals.
I wonder if Rush Limbaugh's ratings has to do with things like this. I don't know. If you're checking any of the recent polls or recent court rulings, homophobia, kind of thing of the past. Like, a lot of other, Donald Sterling, bye-bye, racism. We've changed. We have changed as a society. Oh, here he is about Don Lemon. Was this gratuitous or not?
Over at CNN, they interpreted that to mean that I was defending Sterling. How did they get there? I don't know how they get there. Aaron Burnett played the soundbite and then went to Mr. Black Hole himself, Don Lemon, who sleeps with men, proudly, for comment, and this is what he said.
If we didn't know then that Rush Limbaugh is a stunt king, then we know now, because there's no excuse for this behavior. There's no excuse for anyone to try to make an excuse for someone like Donald Sterling. Clearly, he's just trying to get the attention.
Wow. They took a discussion of Sterling and turned it into my behavior.
So anything Don Lemon says should be discounted because he sleeps with men proudly?
With men. Yeah.
I see. So
and
maybe
Rush
if
takes vacations to the Dominican Republic.
So maybe if he were ashamed, it would be better. But because he sleeps with men proudly.
Wish I could tell you what I did, my friends, but I can't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
He said that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Chef Smith, in a completely unrelated story that has nothing to do with anything that I just said, said the Gawker report on Fox is horse. Really? Which part? Which part? Which part is? A few days ago, Gawker claimed Fox News had prevented him from coming out on air, citing anonymous sources who claimed Roger Ailes, network chief, didn't believe their audience was ready for a gay anchor. In a memo circulated yesterday, because I Smith, the Gawker report. Which parts? Staying there, of course. Well, okay. I guess the good news is he's out now. I don't know. I don't know which part is untrue.
Who can say?
All right. Political strategist Bob Shrum next on the Stephanie Miller Show. That's me. It is the Stephanie Miller Show. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy new job numbers. Ha ha. And Obamacare saved the economy from contraction. That's right. Thanks, Obama. No, really. Okay. Bob Shrum, you see him all over the TV, and now he pops out of the television right onto our radios. Hello, Bob Shrum. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
I did not know you were out here at the University of Southern California, my alma mater.
Yeah, I start in a month or so, and we're going to do some really interesting stuff, I think, in terms of teaching practical politics and doing some other programs. It's a chair called the Warshaw Chair of Practical Politics, founded by and funded by an extraordinary woman, Carmen Warshaw, who was and proudly called herself the Dragon Lady of Democratic politics for about 50 years.
Good for her. Well, let me see two things. One, fight on for old SC. And number two, tell them...
Fight on for victory.
Right. Number two, tell them get off their duffs and vote in the midterms.
Well, that is the biggest problem that Democrats face right now.
I know.
Is getting these folks to turn out. I mean, Democrats have an advantage on almost every single issue that's polled, but the intensity factor favors Republicans. We saw what happened in 2010, and I think it could happen again in 2014.
Yeah, that's what I keep having that nightmare every night, Bob, because I'm a political geek like you. But yes, I have that cold sweat nightmare of 2010 again. And it must be frustrating to strategists like you that have watched this for so many years. You're right. If you look at each and every issue, American people way out ahead on every issue. Agreeing exactly with the president and with Democrats.
Well, but you have young people tend not to vote. Minorities tend not to vote in midterms. Now, the Republicans in 2012 thought young people were not going to turn out the way they had in 2008, that minorities weren't going to turn out, and African-American turnout was actually higher than white turnout in 2012. So the resources, and there is a shifting of resources going on in the Democratic Party, moving toward putting more money into get out the vote, voter contact, the kind of things that Obama did in 2012. So we'll have to see if that has an impact and can break the historical pattern.
Yeah, interesting. Well, and if any stories show how out of step they are with the mainstream, it's this piece you wrote, Who to Blame for Donald Sterling and Cliven Bundy.
Yeah.
Doesn't that show, in some ways, whether it's, racism, homophobia, any of this stuff we talk about, they are so out of step with the American public. You write, the Clippers owner and Nevada rancher will soon be forgotten as racist cranks, but if we want a new chapter of true equality and respect, we need a new politics, especially from the GOP. Because, as other people have pointed out, Bob, they just didn't use the polite code words that a lot of the mainstream Republicans do to say the same thing, right?
Well, this all started, when Democrats took up the issue of civil rights, when JFK and LBJ demanded a civil rights bill, and it finally passed in the 60s. And Johnson himself was aware that this could cost, and he said this, could cost the Democrats the South for a generation. But Richard Nixon, with the Southern strategy, kind of institutionalized this. It was a politics of resentment. And we reached the point wherein a lot of states in the South, you don't need to know someone's party registration. You just need to know what the color of their skin is, and if they're white, they're a Republican.
Yeah.
But it isn't just directed toward African Americans. It's also directed now toward women who are becoming more independent. It's directed toward gay people, and we see that all the time. It's directed toward Hispanics and immigrants.
Yeah.
It's I think a group of people who just aren't comfortable with the changing character of the country.
This country is headed for being a majority of minorities.
Yeah, and
there are folks who can't stand that.
Right, and you say here the press could have spent news cycle after news cycle focusing on the tendency of too many Republicans to fellow travel with extremists such as Bundy if Sterling hadn't burst into the headlines. I mean, that really, as you say, you also write Bundy, too, will just be an empty 10-gallon hat if and when he's ultimately held to account. He will just be another right-wing crank who despises federal, benefits, except if it's lavished on him, a welfare queen of the purple sagebrush, as Paul Krugman said. But yeah, as you say, Bundy's crude racism left Cruz, Paul, Fox News flee a lawbreaker they never should have embraced in the first place.
Well, and Rand Paul's trying to have it both ways. He's now out there. He went to the Kennedy School, the Institute of Politics at Harvard, and said that the Republican Party couldn't survive and couldn't thrive if every time you looked at it, it was just composed, every Republican audience was just composed of white people. But his rhetoric doesn't match his record. I mean, this guy who voted against the Violence Against Women Act, opposes abortion rights even in cases of rape and incest, opposes citizenship for children born of undocumented immigrants.
He voted against ENDA, as you say. He's against letting same-sex couples marry.
And he says there's no problem with voter suppression and no problem with blacks having access to the ballot in the South. I mean, that's all just wrong. But when you say that, and this is the Republican Party's dilemma, we were talking about 2014, and they do have an advantage, A, in turnout, and B, because the congressional districts are so heavily gerrymandered. But in 2016, they have a huge disadvantage in the presidential campaign. And it's not just that Hillary Clinton is, I think, going to run and going to be a very strong nominee. It is that the Republicans are far out of the mainstream of a presidential electorate. The rising America, the rising constituencies don't respond to the kinds of things that we just talked about, voting against the Violence Against Women Act, all that. That precludes you from being president.
But as you point out here, Bob, you say, Rand Paul is not the exception, but a paradigm in a Republican Party that has doubled down on the Southern strategy. I mean, all it seems they have is these voter suppression things and gerrymandering, right? And dark money.
Yeah, well, that's a way to temporarily try to hold on to or expand your power at the congressional level.
Ironic, by the way, that they don't like dark people, but they like dark money very, very much.
That's very good. I wish I'd thought of that one.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you. Thank you. But, go ahead.
You have a situation where older white voters, and of course I'm older and I'm white, but I don't fall into this category, just can't abide what's happening in the country. And when you look at these Tea Party rallies and they're screaming, "Take our country back," who do they want to take it back from? They want to take it back from the African-American guy who's president.
Right.
They want to take it back from the Hispanics who are becoming an increasing part of our population.
That's
right.
They
want to take it back from the women who are going out and pursuing careers and having lives instead of staying at home and just obeying their husband.
Yes, I speak as one of those uppity women. But, interesting, Bob. I'm reading a headline: Dark money independent groups dominating ad war in 2012. And, John Paul Stevens, as you know, just spoke out, former Supreme Court justice, and said, money is not free speech. And this is exactly what we knew was going to happen. Independent groups, especially those supporting the Republican Party, are dominating the air wars ahead of the 2014 midterms, according to a new report. Overall, independent groups, there they are again, led by the Koch brothers, accounted for 49% of the $62.2 million in broadcast and national cable advertising purchased for the 2014 election. And the majority of the spending during this time, 58%, came from dark money nonprofits that do not disclose their donors, and the majority of these groups support, of course, Republicans, right? This advertising backs up the finding that Republican donors have largely fled the disclosed world of super PACs for the anonymous world of dark money. So here we go, right? How big an effect is that going to have?
Oh, well, it's going to have a big effect. And, it takes us back to the era of the robber barons in the 19th century when they poured money into campaigns like William McKinley's and managed to dominate the process. That was broken when Theodore Roosevelt became president. But it's also why 2016 is so important, because the next president is going to appoint a series of Supreme Court justices. I think that's absolutely clear. And if you have Hillary Clinton, you're going to change the Supreme Court. This dark money thrives and exists now because of a 5-4 decision that essentially holds that corporations are people. And I think a subsequent Supreme Court can overturn that precedent because that precedent is A, new, and B, out of step with the court going all the way back to Buckley v. Vallejo when the original campaign finance reforms were passed.
Yep. I mean, it's interesting. I call myself a happy clappy liberal because, and I do think that there's been a lot of media storylines that have been wrong, right? I mean, so I can only hope that, we've heard the storyline forever. The Democrats are doomed in the midterms and all of that, but we've also heard Obamacare's a disaster. I just saw a montage on TV last night about every Republican saying it's a complete disaster. Well, that's obviously not true now, right?
So you have millions of people who are getting health care, and it's not just the 8 million who've signed up on the exchanges or the 3 million kids who are on their parents' health insurance or the millions more who signed up through Medicaid. You have 100 million people who now benefit from preventive health services, and many of them didn't have them before. I mean, women have access to mammograms, free mammograms. That's a huge step forward. It's going to save a lot of lives. And I want to see these Republicans answer the question, what are they going to do to replace this? Because right now what they're talking about, Mitch McConnell in Kentucky is basically talking about taking health care away from 400,000 people.
Well, that's right. And I think the other thing that's starting to break through are these positive, true Obamacare stories rather than the phony, horror stories. This one, the self-employed logger, this is the one, Bob, I don't know if you've heard about it, that's really, I think, caught on with the coaching of a liberal friend, moved past his hostility to Obamacare, purchased a health plan just in time for heart valve replacement surgery. Right. His story is the ACA supporter's holy grail, a hard-nosed opponent of Obamacare who saw the light after it literally saved his life. He said the ACA is everything it's supposed to be, and in fact it's better than it's made out to be. That is their worst nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah, listen, I don't quote Ted Cruz very often. Back when he was shutting down the government,
right,
he said, we have to do this now. We have to stop Obamacare before it goes into effect, because once it goes into effect and you have millions of people benefiting from it, it's going to be impossible to repeal it. I think John Boehner knows that, the Speaker of the House, and Kathy McMorris Rogers, who's in the Republican leadership, got in trouble last week for saying we can't really repeal Obamacare, we can improve it. And she had to backtrack because her own caucus got angry at her. But I think that is the reality. That is the fact. And, I think you may be right. This issue could play out very differently in the midterms than Republicans anticipate.
Yeah, let's hope so. Bob, always great to talk to you. Thanks so much for taking time for us.
Great, I really enjoyed it.
And fight on for old
Okay, fight on for Democratic victory.
That's right.
Yes.
There you go. Thank you, Bob. All right.
Yeah, he's awesome.
46 minutes after the hour, right back on the Stephanie Miller Show.
Well, Christine McVie didn't stop thinking about tomorrow because she's back with the band.
That's right. 51 minutes after the hour, or as my mom would say,